Hello, Galaxy! I'm Chris Pirillo, and I am here once again to talk about the thing that I talk about anyway, putting a finer point on it. We did a Holocron Hangout, as I named it, in an impromptu fashion a few weeks ago, and then I got busy with things. Jedi got sick. She's doing better now. Like, she's completely out of the woods. She's dancing around like you wouldn't believe. She's doing so much better. Then I took a trip to Silicon Valley. Those are the vlogs that are getting published now. I also then got sick. I'm now recovered just in time to witness Star Wars Celebration vicariously through everybody who was tweeting about it. Oh, and of course, the Rogue One behind the scenes and the panel, and then, of course, the Rebels 3 season trailer. There's so much that we're going to cover here, and so I'm grateful that we've got, or I have, together there are three of us. Prince is back, and as is Krister. You've probably already subscribed to them. If you haven't, we'll be sure to put a link for you in the video description. I'll let them introduce themselves. The plan for this hangout, just like the other one we did, the ones that we try to do, we're looking to connect with other Star Wars YouTubers and bringing them in on these regular discussions. I'd like to potentially get to doing this weekly. Of course, we had a lot of support for the last one. Not everybody could make it today in terms of the people that I was able to invite. But you know, I'm so happy to be able to talk Star Wars with other people. It's just great. It's just like I'm beaming here. I'm beaming. So let me go ahead and have Prince introduce himself and what he does, and then we'll have Krister introduce himself.
Hey everyone, my name is Prince, and I'm an urban acolyte, and I love to talk Star Wars, just like everyone on this panel. So if you haven't seen my channel already, you can check it out if you want, and see how much I like Star Wars.
That's great. I'm super happy to be here. There's a lot to talk about. I'm Krister, and I run the StarGeek YouTube channel. I try to upload weekly videos about basically anything that I find interesting in the Star Wars universe, whether that's fact videos, top 10 lists, reviews, news, celebrations, basically anything I want to. And I'm also on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at StarGeekYT. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I really believe that it's been a great experience to have grown up Star Wars in the generation that I grew up in terms of growing up Star Wars. But it's still a topic that I never get tired of talking about. I did like 2 podcasts earlier, like for the past couple of days, and I'm still like blah, 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 blah. Okay, so there may be a lot to cover, and we're not going to go, in any direct fashion. We're not going to do a complete breakdown. In fact, Krister, you did a reaction video that was just uploaded.
Yes, yeah, I tried to analyze as much as I could and give my thoughts on the trailer. There's a lot to look at, so we can talk about that here.
Absolutely. I woke up a little late, so I wasn't able to tune in right when the Rogue One panel started, but of course I tuned in like almost immediately after it was going, and I felt, and this is really my takeaway from watching the panel. 1, Gwendolyn did an amazing job, and 2, it really got me excited, and it reminded me a lot about how I felt watching the Force Awakens panel in person at the last celebration in Orlando, was it Orlando? No,
Anaheim.
Anaheim, yeah. And that was the feeling I got. So I feel like having that reaction gives me a belief that I'm just as excited for Rogue One as I was for The Force Awakens at this time.
Yeah, I think Rogue One is actually looking much better than I thought it was going to be. I wasn't super convinced about it when they first announced that it was going to be like stealing the Death Star plans, a heist movie, but this little reel, the celebration behind-the-scenes reel, has really convinced me. I think this is going to be probably almost on par with The Force Awakens. I think it's going to be really, really good.
What's your feeling, Prince?
Well, as soon as I heard Donnie Yen was going to be in it a year ago, I tweeted out a picture of some of my Donnie Yen movies. So, I'm one of those people, if I hear, oh, I'm a big Donnie Yen fan, I love all the Ip Man movies, I'm like, man, I was on Donnie Yen way before that.
Well, the moves that I saw in the behind-the-scenes video, which is seemingly the only thing that we're going to get for Rogue One, obviously at Celebration, it's now wrapped, I believe. Not to say that the amount of Star Wars in my feed is decreased by any amount, but yeah, it was a action-oriented, warlike film. I got the feeling almost like I was watching at moments something like a Saving Private Ryan in space.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, and I mean that's good. I mean, I really enjoyed Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, there was in the last one we talked about the shots that were in what was that, Entertainment Weekly? There was a shot of them like storming the beach on that jungle planet I'm guessing they're on, and there's like a helicopter like filming the shots of them storming the beach, which I don't think is something that they've ever done in a Star Wars movie. I'm like, holy, like,
see,
what is this? What is this gonna look like, man?
Yeah, and that I think is something good to talk about, because even in the first establishing shot of the behind the scenes trailer, not establishing shot for the movie, but we see this stormtrooper that looks like he or she is on the precipice of some kind of boulder or cliff, and just this, you see a camera or a crane off to the right. Setting it up like that really makes me feel that this is going to be cinematically pushing the envelope for what a Star Wars film can be. Like, it's more than just, you know, the Force and Jedi. You know, there's really a fantastic chance that we're going to see cinematic art play out on the screen.
Definitely. From what it sounded like by when Kathy Kennedy was talking about choosing Gareth Edwards as the director for this movie, one of the main reasons they chose him is he's so stylistically different than we've ever had before for a Star Wars movie, and you can see that in the behind the scenes. He has the camera on his shoulder, they're using cranes and helicopters all over the place. I think it's going to look really different, still feel like Star Wars, but be a totally different experience, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it was something that I think was striking, and I'll go back to my first reaction to the teaser that we got, specifically the contrast between the first time I saw it and the second time. The first time, I was like just taking it in emotionally, and it was when I realized, when I was watching the Star Destroyers against the Starfield and then the dish coming into place on the Death Star, the first time I thought it was a Starfield, but then it kicked in and I realized, wait a minute, that was the Death Star, and that's a beautiful shot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's art, and I'm like, oh man, it's like almost like this T-shirt, right? I got this at for like $10, right? And it's R2D2, and even Jedi was able to tell it was R2D2. But if you get closer to it, and I don't know if the resolution on this camera is going to pick up the details. Yeah, I mean,
amazing.
You've got Jabba the Hutt and Admiral Akbar and Princess Leia and all Salacious Crumbs even in there. So this to me is potentially indicative of my feeling or my takeaway from what I saw in the teaser, as well as from what I saw in the behind the scenes. Just feeling like, wow, this is going to have some depth, and it really calls to a question, and I'd be curious as to your take on this. Someone asked me, you know, if I believe that Rogue One is going to do just as well as The Force Awakens, if not better. And my feeling is this: Rogue One can succeed on its own, or if it can succeed on its own, independent of being a Star Wars movie, it will supersede The Force Awakens. That is to say, it's a good movie, and it happens to be Star Wars, and that, I think, is what's going to drive the most amount of attention to Rogue One as a movie. You have to see the movie. Even, you know, you have to see it. It's a good movie. Forget about it being Star Wars. If it is a good movie, that, I think, could very well carry it well beyond how well The Force Awakens did.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that Rogue One is going to have to overcome is like everybody here watching the stream, whatnot. We're all Star Wars fans. Like, we know what Rogue One is. I use my cousin as an example. He's a huge Star Wars fan, but not a huge Star Wars fan, if that makes sense. Like, he knows there's a movie coming out in December, but he doesn't really know what Rogue One is. He's kind of, you know, and he's asking me, like, cuz, what is this new movie coming out? Like, what is it? What is Rogue One? Why did they call it that? What's going on? So there's people out there that like Star Wars and they're fans, but have no idea what. And then there's other people who there's a new Star Wars movie coming out this year. They don't even know at all at this point, and that kind of blows my mind. But for me, it's like, okay, well, I'm on YouTube. I need to promote this more, so people know. So that's what I think Rogue One has to overcome, is just becoming kind of this cultural phenomenon that The Force Awakens was, where this is the first movie in a decade, something like that.
A long time.
No, yeah, totally. Yeah, I think that what Rogue One really has to do is show that it can succeed on itself, like you guys were saying, without being a Star Wars movie. It's a Star Wars movie, but people don't go to see it just because it's a Star Wars movie, but because it's going to be able to carry itself throughout the movie, with the plots and the different characters that they're going to introduce, disconnecting it from the Star Wars universe while still hanging in there. I hope that it succeeds, because if it does, it will set up all of the Star Wars movies for the next decade or so. They'll be much more profitable. They'll be, let's just say, better. I just think it's going to be really good if Disney can succeed in this one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a challenge. I think they've got their work. I still think they have their work cut out from them. In fact, after Diana was watching behind the scenes, my wife was watching behind the scenes. She turned to me immediately and said, "What happened to the girl? What happened?" Rey is who she was referring to, and I had to explain again. I'm like, "No, it's separate. It's not episode 8." And she's like, "Oh," she got it, pretty quickly.
Right.
But it was a little jarring at first, and that I think it's good. I think it's potentially good that Rogue One was the first Star Wars story, Han Solo coming next, because it is. I mean, it's a war-like movie, Star Wars. Hello, and then there's a war in Star Wars, of all things. It's potentially something that is familiar yet can be separate and standalone. We know where it's going. We know how it's going to end up. We just don't know how. It's almost like Apollo 18. No, Apollo 13. Sorry, Apollo 18 is the They Might Be Giants album, which I love. We know what happened at the end. We just don't necessarily know all the details in between, which is I'm fine with. I think as long as people can look past the idea that this is a Star Wars movie, I think people can enjoy it. If on its own, I don't know how good. I don't know if I'm going to like it. I'm not going to say I'm going to like it. But it to succeed, I think it has to stand alone. Aside from being a classic Star Wars movie, right? Because with The Force Awakens, we knew kind of going into it, when we watching it, it's like, okay, we know about Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and all. We had all these cultural touch points. Rogue One is almost, it's the same, but we don't have a lot of the characters, if hardly any, that we can necessarily fall back on, and we don't necessarily need to fall back on. So we may have some context with Mon Mothma, maybe where the rebel base is, what an X-wing is, Darth Vader, which I'm kind of surprised there was nothing like that in the behind the scenes even, like, and maybe it's that they really want to hold back on, almost like the Luke Skywalker of Rogue One, if I could say that, where they're just kind of holding back, and there's a reason they're holding back. I wonder why. There's got to be a reason though. Right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's, and I guess the crawl, as we were talking about the last time, they're leaning towards no, the crawl is not going to happen.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. They're not gonna have it. They had it in that little intro though for the panel, which was pretty awesome. But no, I think it's okay not to have a crawl. I think it'll be fine.
All right, I'm going to hold my breath. I will wait and judge when I actually see it. Now, the other thing that I wanted to that I was thinking about when watching the panel, even though I missed when the actor who's playing Baze,
Zhang Wen?
Yes,
I did not miss that.
he apparently dropped a spoiler.
A huge spoiler.
Oh my God!
I missed it.
Okay, good.
I won't say anything, but
right. I totally, and I was watching, and I totally missed it. But then Alan Tudyk's reaction was pretty clear. He was like, "Oh."
Yeah.
He was very clear that someone dropped a spoiler. I wouldn't want to spoil it, but I ended up finding out what the spoiler was. One of the things that struck me is I think another thing that further sets this apart from earlier Star Wars films is the cultural diversity of the cast.
Yeah.
And that was, and it's not to say that it was necessarily gender balanced, because obviously Jyn Erso was the only female on stage, potentially the only primary protagonist, but the fact that it looked different and it felt different, and that was, to me, it was a good thing, because we've got this gigantic galaxy, and knowing that, you know, even as culturally diverse as we are on planet Earth, the galaxy's got to be even more so with aliens and creatures, and I mean just human beings, right?
Yeah.
So that struck me like midway through. I'm like, wow, this is a really, I mean, as maybe it's not a perfect representation of planet Earth, but like in terms of like moving the ball forward, that kind of excites me about seeing Rogue One play out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that'll help as well. I mean, Jang Wen and Donnie Yen are huge stars in the Asian markets, so that'll help Rogue One a lot more than I think The Force Awakens didn't do so well in China, but now you've got the biggest action star in China in this movie. You slap him on the front of the poster, now everybody in at least Hong Kong is gonna want to go out and see Donnie Yen. And I saw the comment that they hope Donnie Yen gets more screen time than he did in Blade 2. If they want that movie to do well in China, he better get a whole lot more screen time than he did in Blade 2. He and Jang Wen both.
You know, it was interesting. Someone posited that this is why you're seeing a lot more representation, specifically in American cinema, because China is such a huge market, huge. Like, and I think I'm not going to talk about Ghostbusters, the new one, because I haven't seen it that much, but I've seen a lot of sentiment, you know, coming into my feed and suggesting, you know, these are characters that younger kids look up to. It's like I was talking the other day to somebody. It was like when I was a kid, any character in a cartoon or a show that had glasses was me. Like, because that was the glasses were my identity. So I was Simon in the Chip when my brothers and I played the Chipmunks, right? I didn't want to be Alvin. I wanted to be Simon because Simon had glasses. Yeah. And I can only imagine that, you know, kind of being the same way in terms of Star Wars characters that kids can identify with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm thrilled. I'm like I'm just like I'm so looking forward to this.
Yeah. I guess it's getting on a tangent, but on that note, I remember the only Star Wars action figure that I can remember like getting was Lando, and you know, now I remember coming out of Force Awakens and people were like, "Oh, Finn reminds me of Lando," and I'm like, "Not me," because Billy D. Williams was the Colt 45 guy. So it's like, you know, like I saw him in Empire and Return of the Jedi. And in Empire, he was a dirtbag. I mean, he sold out Han. He sold out everyone. And it's like Finn, this guy who at least I think is on his own heroic journey, and you're saying he's the Colt 45 guy?
No, dude. No.
So, yeah, it's like when I saw the original trilogy, I never wanted to associate myself with Lando. I wanted to be Luke. Because I was short.
That's funny. See, my brother always when we played. I usually played Han because I liked he was very sarcastic, very, you know, kind of the rogue really. My youngest brother played Luke. I don't know why, and then my middle brother played Lando. So it was just because we did. These are the characters that we just loved for some reason. Couldn't tell you. I think Adam liked Lando because he was so suave, right? He's like, hello, what? You know, it's like, yeah. But I tell you, that is Adam's character. I mean, in real life, Adam is like a Lando.
Yeah. Yeah, he does have the swag, but to me, he's the Colt 45.
Which, of course, to kids now, you just go look up on YouTube the Colt 45, and you'll know what's going on. Okay, so
smooth, baby.
That's what I'm saying. It's just his to a T. Yeah. Okay, so that's Rogue One. If you have anything else to add to that, I mean, I'm not trying to move things along, but I mean, I'm sure we can move things along.
Yeah, I mean, I've made a whole video on it, so
Yeah.
I'm in no rush to talk more about it. If we want to move on to something else?
Yeah, I think the thing I want to cover as well, and I realize condensing all this is impossible. Specifically, Rebels Season 3, the trailer, having been a Rebels viewer from the very beginning, and having only caught up on the Clone Wars after it had wrapped, because it was very difficult for me to keep up with the way things were. You couldn't necessarily binge on anything. Oh, speaking of binging, there are a few Star Wars references, including a Lando reference, a couple, in a new Netflix series called Stranger Things. And it's 8 episodes long. I binged on it last night, wrapped it up today. I would have watched the whole thing, but I got a headache like at 4 in the morning. I'm like, I got to go to bed. But it was pretty good. 3 people had recommended it in my feed. It's kind of like a Stephen King meets Steven Spielberg type of show. And it was worth seeing. I don't know if I'm as excited as other people were, but I enjoyed the Star Wars references, so it was worth it for that. For that alone, I was fine with, and it kept me interested. So that to me is like the hallmark of any good experience for entertainment. Like with The Force Awakens, like that's it. Wait, where's the rest of it? That to me that's good. When I don't have to think, God, when is this going to end? When I want more and more and more. So Stranger Things is an entertainment recommendation with Star Wars references. So Rebels Season 3, Thrawn got spoiled in my feed. That's all. When I woke up, my entire feed was Grand Admiral Thrawn, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I know what's coming down the pike. And it seems, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but I want to say that Rebels got more buzz from Celebration, independent of Star Wars fans, because of Thrawn than Rogue One.
Yeah, definitely. If you look on the YouTube trending page, Rogue One's trailer might have been up there, but Rebel Season 3 is up there. I don't see Rogue One anywhere.
Any feelings on that, Prince?
Well, I love Rebels. That's the most searched content on my channel, so I was kind of happy about that. But I feel like we thought we were getting the Rogue One trailer on Friday night, and I watched. I caught the end of the live stream, so I saw the behind the scenes trailer that they ran, and I was kind of not paying attention because I said, okay, we're gonna get this is the appetizer. We're getting the full course meal tonight at 8, and I'm sitting here waiting. I'm like, okay, when is it coming? I'm refreshing StarWars.com and their YouTube channel, and I know Alex from Star Wars Explained already sent us the message, hey, they're just going to show the same thing, and I said, well, I'm hoping against hope that maybe they punked us and they're really going to show it. I think that hurt, but Thrawn and all the people upset about the EU, and are like, look, it might be people watching the stream. I'm sorry, but there's a new canon, and just because there's a new canon doesn't mean that those old ideas won't come back into play. But they've got to reshuffle the deck.
Yeah.
I think that they're being really respectful about Thrawn's character, though. From the teaser, it seemed like he was basically what they had in the Thrawn trilogy. So hopefully people are pleased with that. I'm really happy, and I wasn't a huge EU fan. The expanded universe I never really got into that much, but the Thrawn trilogy was amazing, and I'm happy that Thrawn's in the saga somewhere in canon. That's really all I care about, and I think that's nice.
That's my feeling as well. I didn't totally throw myself into EU or Legends, because even back then, when it was the only Star Wars thing we had, I enjoyed it, but in my mind, I had always separated them. Like, this is not.
Oh yeah.
But this is before the whole schism happened of EU versus canon. In my mind, it was the movies, and that was it, right?
Yeah, it was the live-action movies for me. When
right.
The Clone Wars cartoons came out, both of them, I didn't really see them as canon, just kind of side stories. But yeah, they're handling it really well, though. The canon, they're sorting everything out and fixing everything that they need to tie together. So.
and apparently the ship that they saw the Outrider, but it wasn't the Outrider. It was just the same ship.
Yeah,
I like that they're dipping into Legends and pulling that into canon, because it's I think that, to me, that is more respectful to do something like that than it would be to scrap everything that had existed in the EU that wasn't necessarily, created by Lucas and or controlled by Lucas and or created by Disney. That, to me, so how they're taking Thrawn and even creating a new novel, that everything's going to become canon. That I can't understand why you wouldn't be happy about that. I can't. And maybe it's just, maybe I'm old enough and mature enough to accept it, and maybe it's that I never really accepted these stories as a part of quote unquote canon before we called it canon. But man, you've got now you'll see Thrawn animated, and sewn into the story in such a capacity that you never had before. And that, to me, is very compelling. And I think the comment that I left on that video, specifically the trailer, was you just brought in like millions of new Rebels fans, Rebels watchers, because I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Rebels is going to be huge.
Gigantic. And I will say this for any new Rebels viewer: you got to get through season 1 to get to season 2. You got to get through season 2 to get to season 3.
Yeah.
And
I think the end of season 1 was actually pretty strong. The first half I was not enjoying that much, and I kind of suffered through. But once they got to that second half of season 1 and all of season 2, I thought was pretty great. So I mean, they're going in a really nice direction, and the trailer that they showed for season 3 looks better than both of the other 2 seasons combined.
Yeah.
I can't wait for this.
Season 3 feels like they're doing what they need to do for the Rebels series, and I don't know. This is my curiosity. I don't know if they knew that when they started Rebels. I don't know if they had that vision from the beginning. I like where it will be going. Very much so. And just as a side note, Jedi, we were watching yesterday. We're watching the for some reason, I was just trying to keep her entertained. She will actually sit and watch Rebels at a year and a half. And like when we're watching it on demand, and like when a commercial break would happen, she'd go more. Like more. So this is a sign for more for sign language.
You're training her well.
Yes, but she would, on her own, she was like, more. I'm like, all right, let Daddy get the controller. And but she would actually, she'd watch. She'd act, and she knows Ahsoka, and she knows Chopper, and all that. So she's even watching. She's even interested in what's going on. But I in seeing Thrawn and Maul and
man.
Ahsoka and Rex. So they're pulling from. Think about where they're pulling from. They're pulling from the Clone Wars. Yeah. They're pulling from. They pulled originally from the Phantom Menace or the prequels. Mm-hmm. They're pulling from EU, and they're pulling it all into this story, and it becomes this singular. Hello, world. That was Jedi back there.
I hear.
She knows when Daddy's in front of the computer, then it's talking time. As you can hear, she's doing well. So yeah, that was I think it shows the perspective of what Disney is doing, because I see this, and I see the sentiment from certain Lucasfilm people in an unofficial capacity, basically saying, hey, no one's taking your EU away. No one's saying get rid of it. No one's saying ignore it. And I'm okay with that. It just seems that there are a few, I'm going to say it, man babies. Hi, baby. Hi, sweetie. Did you take a bath? Yeah? We got a little Darth Vader here. Your little bathrobe. You say hello? You can't hear right now because Daddy's got his headphones on. Do you want to hear? I don't know.
Hey, Jedi.
Hello? What's that?
Aww.
Who's that? She just had a bath. An intergalactic bath. Are y'all clean now? Squeaky clean? Thank you. So yeah, you were watching Rebels yesterday. What did you think? Did you like Star Wars Rebels? I think that was her. She is saying that the season 2 finale she really enjoyed. She wanted to see it twice. She was more. I'm like, okay, we'll watch it again then, I guess. Got to do what the baby says. That's the way it works. Mas, more. You see, it's for real. Like this is her bathrobe ish.
That's awesome.
On your head.
Yeah.
There you go. Are you happy now? Are you clean, squeaky clean? No. All right, go to mommy. Go to mommy. There you go. There you go, sweetie. This is the way we
stole the show.
This is the way we normally dress this way around here. She'll point at BB-8s and everything. So anyway, yeah, I think that the entire she really, when I tell her she can't join us, that's when she gets upset. Next time, baby, wait until you've got words.
Oh.
She just likes being in here and being in front of the camera. Oh God, I'm in trouble. So effectively, all the way through the trailer, which for the most part is Thrawn's trailer, which is what it seemed to be. It has me interested. The appearance of Wedge. I mean, that's an interesting backstory.
Oh,
yeah.
Like I was like, whoa! I mean, it just adds depth. This is what I think this is what I like most about the Clone Wars and Rebels, and even though I haven't necessarily read the novels, I've got a whole stack of comics that I got to catch up on. Even though they're canon, it's that backstory that gives such a dynamic perspective or a new perspective on a character that we've known. So now, as we see where Wedge comes from in this season of Rebels, now when we watch the original trilogy, we'll have that context.
Yeah.
And I think that, if anything, if you're not watching Rebels, you have to. I don't care if you don't like cartoons. You have to watch Rebels. Like it's not that difficult to do. It's fun. You know, they're building up an amazing season, and you're going to get backstory on characters that you've known in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is everything.
And then there's always the question, like, how is Luke the Last Jedi? What happens to Ezra and Kanan? Like, that's the biggest question that I have.
Right.
Going forward is what happens to these two guys?
Or
Yeah,
any one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Ahsoka too. Well, she's technically not a Jedi, so.
I kind of just hope that they die. I mean, not to be mean. I like the characters are good and everything. It's just I'd rather. I know that Yoda maybe doesn't know, or there's a bunch of different ways that you could explain them living at the same time. I'd rather just have Luke in the original trilogy be the sole Jedi. Even though obviously he's not the sole Jedi because there are other Jedi who haven't been trained or whatever. But you know, I think that that's really the way that I'd like to see this story play out. But if they just keep these characters going, they can go many more seasons until they have to end it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't even have to explain that they died. It just can be assumed or something. But you know, I don't see them in the original trilogy timeline.
I think what would be fascinating for me, even though I wouldn't say that, you know, out of all the characters I necessarily, you know, I wouldn't say Kanan's my favorite Jedi. I wouldn't say, you know, Ezra's my favorite Padawan or learner or you know, apprentice or whatever. But it'll be interesting to me to see what decision Ezra makes. I mean, he's already obviously walking that line between Jedi and Sith. He's now being called an apprentice by Maul, whether that's real or not, or you know, if Maul believes that Ezra is the apprentice, and then you see this seemingly what may happen at the end of the season or close to it. You've got they've got a Sith holocron and a Jedi holocron basically coming together.
Right.
Yeah.
And that ought to be interesting. Like, what does that mean? What does that do?
You know, there's something I noticed when I went back and watched the trailer. I have a feeling that this trailer is just the first half of the season. Like, a lot of the episodes seem like this is from the same episode. There's the one with, I think the one with the holocron that you were just talking about that has Ezra, Kanan, Maul. Might be the same episode where they show clips of earlier where Maul tried to space Kanan, and they showed a longer extended clip during the live feed, and it's like, oh, Ezra, do you have the holocron? Did you learn from it? So it seems like in exchange for the holocron, Maul has captured the rest of the team. So I'm thinking everything from that's all one episode. There's probably some episode with Kanan exploring the Force which Filoni kind of teased at the end of season 2, where he said Kanan has this issue with his blindness and losing connection to the Force. So I think that's the Dai Bendu episode. There's a huge arc with the Mandalorians. So I'm kind of hoping all this awesomeness is just the first half of the season. So then in January we get the season 2.5 trailer or 3.5 trailer, and then I'm just, oh man, all over it.
Well, even look at the poster that they released. There's Chopper, like flying off to the right or the left, and Sabine and Ezra, and those were pretty much the only core Ghost crew that I saw, like on the poster. And so this would,
Right.
I mean, tying into the Mandalorians, now working for the Empire with like an obvious callback to the original design of Boba Fett, the prototype Boba Fett that McQuarrie had sketched out. I mean, it's like, you know, exactly, like there's so much McQuarrie inspiration throughout. That's just another piece of the puzzle of what makes Rebels work as kind of this conjunction of all these elements of Star Wars. You know, as you see the Mandalorians, you know, flying in their jetpacks, it was like, dude, that's Boba Fett prototype by McQuarrie right there. And now it's official. It's canon.
Right.
It's not just I mean, it's real.
Right. If you were watching the archaeology panel, I think it was called, with Doug Chang and John Nolan and all the design and special prop people and things like that, they were talking about how they're always sampling from McQuarrie's stuff because he made so much that was unused in the original trilogy that they're constantly sampling for Rebels, for Rogue One. They said they sampled a ton, Force Awakens, and they're going to continue sampling. Which is kind of what gives Star Wars the same feeling. Connecting everything to Ralph McQuarrie keeps it in the same universe, design-wise at least.
Yeah, the only thing that I think I was disappointed with, like in terms of, like, because you obviously see these characters, they're dressed somewhat differently. Kanan has now got a mask. I was originally thrown off when he had his particular mask with the blue with J guys, which is actually, I ended up looking it up because I was like, why does he have those, what they call J guys? And if you look at the Wikipedia entry for it, it's a Mandalorian symbol. This is the same symbology that you see on Captain Rex's helmet as well. But it's often bestowed to, like a warrior, it's a Mandalorian symbol that's often bestowed to a warrior who's done something heroic. And so at first I was kind of taken aback. I'm like, I don't know if I really like that look. I don't mind the beard on Kanan, but the look was just, it looked odd to me, and I was kind of hoping that he was going to continue to wear the Jedi Temple Guard mask, personally.
I like that, yeah.
I thought I'm like, wow, okay, that is cool.
Yeah.
But so I'm not sure I'm sold on that, apart from when I looked up the fact that it does have a Mandalorian base, or in terms of a reference point. It is possible that Sabine had crafted that for Kanan to wear. Right. We just don't have the story for it yet. But that to me would allay any kind of, you know, misgivings in terms of the design of that, I mean, specifically on Kanan. I don't know how y'all felt about any other changes that you'd noticed with the characters.
I mean, I like the new look of Kanan a lot, actually. I think that the beard looks really good. Ezra, though, I really don't like the buzz cut, and I don't like Sabine's hair either. I think the white and the purple just doesn't work that well for that character. I mean, she changes her hair all the time. That's kind of the thing. Each season has a different hairstyle. I don't know if I would have gone with that hairstyle, but otherwise I think everyone is looking good.
Yeah, I kind of wish they'd given Ezra a fade, but it is what it is.
Well, look at his dad's hair is wavy. And so it kind of struck me as odd that his is more flat.
Yeah. I want to say that Tia Sakar played a part in Sabine's makeover this season. I remember she was talking about it on the live stream, but I don't know if she just said, "Oh, I want her to have a new haircut," or if it was specifically that look. Yeah, I guess Sabine is getting a lot of upgrades in addition to her jetpack and the Darksaber. Tia Sakar was kind of going on, and I think Dave was kind of like, "Oh, you can stop talking now." So I'm excited to see her progression, especially as I guess we're going to learn more about Death Watch and
Right.
the fallout from Maul, I guess being ousted from whatever structure he had created with the Mandalorians.
Which is
So
good because we left it. It was so just hanging. Like after the
yeah,
Clone Wars just stopped. Like what happened? And now you have all the elements at play. I mean, in terms of question marks, Ahsoka, you've got the Mandalorians, you've got Darth Maul, you've got everything. All these elements, potentially answering questions that were left unanswered with the Clone Wars just stopping when it did. Even Rex, even Captain Rex.
yeah, yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say I'm hoping that the Ahsoka, like her novel that's coming out in October, I'm really hoping that that'll like address that storyline that Dave Filoni mentioned, like how he wanted to end the Clone Wars with, the last mission with Anakin and Obi-Wan and Ahsoka going to take down Maul, and then they get, called off to what we see at the start of Revenge of the Sith. I would love if they kind of touch on that, but then okay, this is where Ahsoka was during the gap before we see her on Rebels. But the book could pick up with this is what happens after we see her in Rebels, which I'd be fine with. I pre-ordered the book, so either way, whatever they do, I'm gonna read it.
It's interesting. You kind of make me wonder if they'd ever be able to do that in almost like the Clone Wars movie, like a movie that you could see in the theater, but it's a cartoon of that
Right.
story of what happened. Because they're obviously not going to go back and say, okay, we're doing the Clone Wars again, or we're doing Clone Wars again.
A standalone movie, though.
Right, a
About that
standalone
chapter.
movie.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, and I think it could potentially be a chance for Ahsoka to shine, and I mean she's got for being just someone who's only, or a character that we've only known through primarily through the Clone Wars and now in Rebels, kind of soon in this novelization. It would seem to me that having almost an Ahsoka movie, whether it was titled with Ahsoka in the title, but a Star Wars animated movie,
Mhm.
to me that would be I think. But I'm not in control of anything.
Yeah.
But I think that would be really, really nice to see.
Yeah, it'd
No, that would be great.
Any thoughts on the new Fulcrum? Because it's obviously not Ahsoka, or I can't imagine it being Ahsoka.
Yeah, because that's what I was kind of saying in my when I uploaded the trip, like my reaction to the trailer, is I kept saying, well, Ahsoka recruited Wedge, but technically it's Fulcrum recruited Wedge, so that Fulcrum character could be anyone. It could just be a placeholder, like a code name. So yeah, I'll be interested to find out. I saw somebody say, "Oh, it's Agent Kallus." I don't remember if that was in on Twitter or in my YouTube comments or what. And I said, "Well, that would be interesting, if Agent Kallus completely defects. Oh, we got a
Hi, baby.
running Jedi."
Hi, baby. Hi, baby. She really likes being in here. Sorry, baby. Get some clothes on, and then we'll talk. Things you have to worry about when you're a parent. Naked babies running through the house. So she's got a diaper on. She's not like completely naked. Sorry, got it. Not resetting myself. Talking again about Star Wars. Yeah, I think that it would make sense that Kallus would be there, and if only because we got a little taste of him in season 2 with the idea when they wrapped up that particular episode where he was in his quarters just almost reflecting like why am I doing this, who am I fighting for, with that very brief story with Zeb, and so it would make sense for Kallus to reinsert himself in that capacity, showing himself as a sympathizer with the rebellion, and possibly even someone who is switching. That is not something that it would be without precedent. And this is another thing that I think I like about Rebels. Like the first season, I don't know if I necessarily had any identity What's going on? Okay, well, she can't come in here. I don't know what to say. Sorry. She really wants to talk, but she can't. That's the problem. So as much as I don't make sense at times, trust me, there's a lot of not making sense that comes out of her mouth. So she tries, and we'll encourage that. The fact that in the first season, I don't know if I ever really kind of got into the whole Inquisitor thing, and even in the second season, I really didn't get into the Inquisitor thing. So I didn't mind Kallus kind of taking a back seat, or the Inquisitors potentially taking a back seat. And this is where I kind of get the feeling that where they are going with Rebels, I don't think they were in the beginning, because Season 3 looks like a completely different show compared to the way Season 1 was. I mean, if I ever hear Lothal again, it'll be too soon. Yeah, I'm serious. I mean, it's like I didn't. It was like, okay, I get it, it's Star Wars, but and so I'm hoping that, and what I see playing out with the Season 3 trailer, I don't know if they're leaving the Inquisitors behind, but it seems that they're going to be doing that with Thrawn, and I'm fine with that. I'm perfectly fine with that.
I think one of the worst things about Season 1 is the best story to come out of Season 1 was not in an episode, and that was the books about Zara Leonis, because they introduced Brendel Hux, which is General Hux's dad, and I'm like, why would you introduce this guy who's like important to the Life Debt novel and how the First Order, basically he comes up with the First Order stormtroopers like program, and it's in a kid's book that no one is gonna read, about a character that you see for like maybe a total of 10 minutes in like 2 Star Wars Rebels episodes.
I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, I didn't either. I'm like, I'm thinking, I must have missed that.
Yeah, it's in Season 1 when Ezra goes, and it's the last time he sees Zara Leonis, and he says, well, I'm getting transferred. He gets into the Officers Academy because he's going to investigate his sister, who is Force sensitive, and like the Inquisitor took her to Arcanus. That's where like the Inquisitor's like training program is, and so Zara Leonis is there. He gets into like Brendel Hux's like secret society or whatever, and while they're doing their little secret squirrel initiation things, he like tells him, this is the future of the stormtrooper program. We want to identify kids the same way the Jedi do, like promising kids, and then indoctrinate them and train them as children the same way we did with the clones, except when you have a clone, if you come up with like some kind of biological weapon, since they all have the same DNA, you kill them all. But if we have this variety of specimen, then these people might, they won't be as susceptible because they're all different genetically. And so he like lays this whole thing out, and I'm like, holy crap! Like this is like important to Episode 7 and Finn and this is like General Hux's dad.
What's the book called? Do you know the title? And even people are asking in chat. Yeah, I'm really.
I mean, on Amazon. I have them all on my iPad. So.
Yeah. I mean, because this, to me, that if it's a kid's book, it's got to be easy to pick up. No more difficult than watching a Rebels episode. Okay. Hi, baby.
Yeah, because there's like 3 books.
Oh, we've got a Darth Vader hoodie now. We've gone from a Vader towel to a Darth Vader hoodie. Are you warm? Are you cool? Of course you're cool.
Okay, yeah, Jason Fry wrote all of them. So one of them is the one that has it's like the book version of the Breaking Ranks episode. It's called A Rebel in the Ranks, so Star Wars Rebel Servants of the Empire. Matter of fact, that's the name of the whole series. It's the Servants of the Empire series. So it's Rebel in the Ranks, Imperial Justice, and the Secret Academy.
And these are just they're kid books, like readers?
Yeah, they're like really, really short. Jason Fry wrote all of them.
Okay, we'll be sure to like get the links in there. What, baby? Put what back? Hun? I can't do two things at once. Yeah, that's an Ewok. So yeah, we'll put the links in the description. I'd be curious to find out what this is because I had no idea until you mentioned something that this even existed.
Yeah, if there was one that I would that you can skip, that would probably be the well. There's a character in the first one that he gets like indoctrinated in the stormtrooper program in the third book. But if you were going to skip any of them, it would be the first one because it's like, oh, this is Air Leonis and he's like a football star, whatever I think they call it graph ball. But yeah, that would be the one you could probably skip over if you don't want to read all three.
Well, if they're short, I'd read it if only for backstory. The backstory that I didn't know existed until. This is another reason why I like doing this. I learn new things that I didn't know.
Yeah. I think I just spoiled the video that I'm going to do on the Breaking Ranks episode, though, because I was going to tell all of that.
Oh no, I'm not gonna. I still do it because this is obviously just a loosey goosey kind of conversation. You can style it up amazingly better than just three guys hanging out geeking out over Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, everybody watching this got a teaser. Since this is like Star Wars teaser weekend.
Yeah, I'm telling you. So were you disappointed? I mean, you mentioned you staying up, going full circle, and I know we're coming close to an hour, and I'm going to try to keep these to about an hour. Were you disappointed that you didn't see the Rogue One trailer?
I wasn't. I know there's the leak that it's been going around. I didn't watch it because I want to do an actual like reaction to it. So I said, well, I'd be patient, and I haven't seen it yet, so I'm not missing anything. I'm not disappointed. I wish they had shown it. I mean, obviously as a fan, but it's whatever they want to do. If they're happy with the fact that more people are talking about Rebels right now, that's on Disney and Lucasfilm. Maybe they want to. What's like the next big like Disney or Marvel or whatever movie that's coming out?
Oh God, I don't follow the schedules for other fandoms as deeply.
Yeah, I know like Suicide Squad, but that's not a. Because I'm thinking they may wait to drop it like when some big movie comes out. But I don't know, or I don't see a reason why they would drop it next week at Comic-Con, but that maybe they'll find a way.
See, I figured if they were going to do it anywhere soon or anytime soon, it would have happened at Celebration.
Yeah.
Like, it absolutely would have happened.
Yeah, because people are going to be talking about it. I mean, comicbook.com, which is actually their headquarters is across town, like they've already written an article that tells everything that's in it. I'm kind of tempted to go drive out there next week and say, hey, you wouldn't happen to have a copy of it, or let's collab.
Well, I'll wait for the official one to drop because I want to do a reaction too, and I'm fine. Honestly, the behind the scenes, that's great. I'm like,
yeah. I mean, I feel the same way. I wasn't disappointed that it wasn't there. I would have liked it, and I actually put off writing the script for my video that I just put out earlier a few hours ago because I was hoping that the behind-the-scenes thing I'd mention a few things about it, but then focus on the trailer. And because of that, I got the video out a little late when I watched the ABC thing and realized that it was basically just the reel with a few more clips in there that they had edited in. I wasn't disappointed, like you were saying, Prince, but I feel like they shouldn't. Where they made the mistake was showing it to the attendees, but not showing it to the rest of the world, because now everyone feels like, oh, it's so unfair, and just this small group of people has it. I think that they could have handled it a little bit better, but I'm fine with just what we have for now.
Well, but at the same time, those fans also were able to make it. They went. So I guess I'm on the fence on that one. let me put it this way, if I had gone and I mean, yes, you get to see things in person and people in person with an amazing director Krennic entrance with the Death Troopers and everything. But giving them something special, I guess I don't mind, because I mean it was something that only they would have because they went to Celebration, and it just apart from exclusives and everything. So, but I'm also I'm thinking, well, yeah, I'd like to have it too. So I'm not. I understand. I'm in the middle.
I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I think that they should get something. I mean, they made it there. That's what Celebration's about. They should get something for showing up and actually being there. Making it the trailer for the next Star Wars movie that you're holding back from the rest of the Star Wars community, I don't know if that was the right call. But otherwise, I think it's all fine.
Yeah, because they showed the first 2 episodes for Rebel Season 3. With the trailer, my only big qualm is people are going to start talking about it. As soon as they get home, somebody's going to start blabbing. It's going to be on moviepilot.com and everything else. So, it's like, okay, you guys made the trip to London, just like if we all go to Orlando next year.
Right.
I don't want to say, oh, you should get to see special stuff, because hopefully I get to see special stuff. And I have a YouTube channel, so I can run back to my hotel. Dude, I saw this and this, and I can't show you, but this is what we talked about, or this was cool, something like that. It's just, maybe next they show stuff from Episode 8 that no one gets to see, and that's going to be the big thing for Celebration next year. But it's just, don't wait too long to where it starts to get spoiled, where it's like, okay, we got to put this out because too many people talking now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Did Chris just drop?
I think so.
All right. Okay, but no, I feel the same way. I think it's nice that if we get something that we can share that is for us at Orlando, if we go to Orlando, I think that's fine. I understand that completely. I just have the holding back the main trailer from the rest of the fan base is. Yeah. I'm not sure if that was the best call. Maybe that something like that K2 SO clip that they shared, maybe give them a few more clips of the movie or little scenes. But I think it's fine. I don't think it's a big deal. So
yeah, makes sense.
Is there anything else that you want to talk about Rebels wise?
Oh man, there's so much I want to talk about with Rebels. I don't even know where to start. I'm really fascinated with with what's going on with Kanan at the start of, he's blind and he's got questions, but there was so much focus on Ezra and like what did he learn from from the Sith Holocron.
Right.
So I'm really like interested in seeing that. I don't even know where to start.
I'm sorry, guys.
Are you back?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So apparently I had like a power outage. Like basically for like a second everything went off and then it came back on. Like
wow.
It was in just this room.
It looks really sunny outside, but they said that there was going to be thunderstorms right now.
Oh man.
In Seattle, I mean.
Yeah. So I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
Wow. So thank you for like pinch hitting there.
Yeah.
So sorry. Boy, this has just been fun. Babies and power outages and everything. Were you expecting that?
It's Jedi, she's using the Force.
I don't know. It was really because I just asked Diana. I'm like, did something happen in there? And she said no. I'm like, it was bizarre.
Weird. Yeah.
Like it was like localized to this room, and it's not like I have a lot of things running, but it's just like, I'm like, the computer's off. I'm like, oh no. So I'm glad the Hangout continued.
Yeah, it was all good.
Yeah. So and I'm coming back just in time to wrap up. Thank you again for joining me and geeking out over Celebration, Rogue One, behind the scenes, and Rebels 3 season trailer. I know there's so much more that we could have talked about, so much more that we could have covered, but I'm trying to keep time, being very mindful of time, keeping it to about an hour, and I'm good. So anything else y'all want to say? I think that I kind of jumped into the time that y'all were kind of wrapping up.
Yeah, no, I think this has been a lot of fun. I
Yeah.
can't wait to do more of these. There was a lot to talk about, and I think I covered everything that I want to. So thanks for having us on.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
The only other thing I was going to mention was that for Amazon Prime Day, I ended up found a few deals that I took advantage of, all Star Wars deals. Amazon Prime, it's an exclusive 4 Stormtrooper set with Phase 1 and 2 Clone Troopers, a classic Stormtrooper with like battle damage, and then a First Order Stormtrooper. Comes in this case with the insignias on the side. This is the Amazon exclusive set. And yeah, I was kind of holding off on it for the longest time, but this was it was like half off or so on Prime Day, so I took advantage of that and got this. And then some Galactic Heroes Imperial Troopers were about like 25% off. I usually only get collectibles like when they're on sale, or I get a good price on them. So believe it or not, I don't just like, oh yeah, this is mine, I'm just gonna get this and that and this and that. No, I usually wait. I'm pretty smart when it comes to that. But that's the only other thing I was going to mention that I picked up this week.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, again, I will put your links in the description, all the relevant links. But I mean, I saw some questions come in, but we are kind of out of time as a self-imposed hour-ish. We'll be doing it again. My hope is to be able to do this on a very, very regular basis in some capacity, whether that's a weekly or a bi-weekly or monthly, whatever. I just want to do it more regularly because I'm doing it anyway. I mean, I'm talking to myself usually about Star Wars. It's just nice to talk to other people about it.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm good with at this time I'm usually not doing anything but planning another video. So.
Yep.
Well, it's awesome to have you guys again. Y'all need to subscribe to every single Star Wars channel that you can possibly find, but definitely Krister's and Prince's. Check out the links in the video description. I'm going to get better at scheduling these things out and planning them out so that everyone has some time. But usually right around this time seems to be best for me, too, apart from random power outages and babies, which that is my life, honestly. Power outages and babies and Star Wars. So this is like a perfect type of vlog experience. So thank you everybody for joining us, and may the Force be with you.